How do the Duggars family support 19 kids and live debt-free? That's what we're going to talk about here during this segment. If you've never heard of the Duggar family, they are a family that has 19 children. They have a TV show on TLC called 19 Kids and Counting. I think they had to change the name of the show because I think they recently had another child. But anyway, they make about $25,000 to $40,000 an episode. But what I want to focus on today is before they had this TV show and were sort of famous and made all this money, they were very self-sufficient and lived very comfortably. And how exactly did they do it? I think what they have done applies whether you have 19 kids, one kid, or retired, young, just starting out in life. Some of these principles are excellent. So I did a little research and found out some information about this family. So neither dad nor mom, Jim or Michelle Duggar, neither of them attended college. If you go back to the previous segment, we were talking about college. I do think college is important. The unemployment rate for college graduates is about half that of people with a high school degree. But once again, here's another family that was very successful, lived a good life, debt-free, that neither one of them attended college. Anyway, they married when he was 19 and she was 17. They got their start as entrepreneurs by selling used cars, which the husband repaired himself. Then they launched a towing business. They sold the business in 1994 and went into real estate. One of their first deals was to convert an old chicken hatchery into 10 commercial rental units. They also leased land to a cell phone company for its transmission tower. But while this real estate business grew, they were scrupulous about living within their means. So you see, they're a family that through sort of the American dream, entrepreneurship, they started selling used cars. I mean, I think used cars, the only people that rank below used car salesmen in the sort of appealability ranking are congressmen. You know, they do these rankings of what's the most respected profession, and of course Congress is always the lowest, and used car salesmen are down there at the bottom as well. Well, here's a family that, hey, they weren't too proud. They went out there and sold used cars. Not only that, but the husband fixed the used cars that they sold, and then they gradually parlayed this into, you know, a business, you know, chicken hatchery, you know, a nasty chicken hatchery, converting it into something nice. This is how people make wealth in America. They do things that nobody else wants to do. They work hard at it, and they transform it into money. But while they were doing it, there are certain principles that they followed. Number one was get out of debt. They lived debt-free. It took years of lean living, but they were able to completely wipe out their debts and start making investments that led to a success in commercial real estate. So this is before the TV show. And here's a big thing. It says they don't use credit cards, okay? A lot of people get into trouble with credit cards. The Duggar family don't use credit cards, and they have no debt. This is key also. I see this all the time, that if I could fix two things, it would be going into debt for college and going into debt for houses. Young people and old people, frankly, they buy way too much house. So here's the Duggar family. They did borrow to buy their first home, a 900 square foot home where they raised 5 children. 900 square feet, they raised 5 children. We have 5 children, and we live in a very modest house. And people say all the time, you know, how do you do it? How do you do it? You know, what do you mean each kid doesn't have their own bedroom? The Duggar family, 900 square feet, 5 kids. That's impressive. Then they took 7 years of saving, and they bought a 2,000 square foot home for their second house, where they were living with 17 kids before this reality show started. Okay, they saved for 7 years. Okay, they didn't go out and borrow all the money. They saved for 7 years to buy a 2,000 square foot home. They bought for $65,000 cash. Today, their house sits on 20 acres, is 7,000 square feet. But anyway, the point is that they started out very small. They parlayed it into a little bit bigger house, but all the time living debt-free. That's so key. You see young people, they go out, they plunk down, they borrow money for a $250,000 house right out of college. They're never going to recover. House payment, 2 car payments, husband and wife working, and student loan debt. They're never going to get out of debt. The Duggars buy used everything. This was fascinating. They've never owned a new car. They've never owned a new car. Another big mistake we see people make. They go out, they finance. I don't care if it's 0% financing. It's still a new car. Unless you drive that thing for 15, 20 years, you're going to lose a lot of money on the depreciation. This was hilarious. One of their vehicles is a 21-seat bus that once belonged to a hockey team. They paid $2,000 for it in an auction, and it's worth about $50,000. Anyway, that's their car. Michelle shops at garage sales and thrift shops for kids' clothing and shoes. I mean, we do that. You think I'm going to go out and buy a 7-year-old a brand new pair of pants, for $30 when 5 minutes later he's going to have a hole ripped in it? No, it's crazy. So they buy stuff used. Now, in their case, with all these kids, they buy in bulk. If you have 2 children, this may not work for you, but they buy in bulk. They consume 48 boxes of cereal a month, but their family grocery bill is about $3,000 per month. So it's a lot. This is another thing. They're very efficient about their water, utilities, and phone is less than $700 a month. That's amazing how they do that. They give each other haircuts, and they limit their entertainment budget to $100 a month. They have 21 out. I take that back. Not all the kids live at home anymore. Obviously, with 19 kids, some of them are out of the home. I don't know how many people actually live at home, but an entertainment budget of $100 a month. They scrutinize their bills. They routinely question charges on doctor bills, phone bills. A lot of these companies, I don't know if it's malicious or not, but a lot of times charges get snuck on these. They say that they're meticulous about questioning charges on their bills. This is another thing, they make their own laundry soap costing about $2 for 10 gallons, which is significant given that they wash about 35 loads of laundry a week. Anyway, so some of these principles, getting out of debt, paying cash for things, buying used things, not using credit cards. These are principles whether you have 2 kids or 19 kids that apply whether you're retired or young that I think would serve everyone better for their own financial freedom. Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. I hope you enjoyed it and that you'll come back again next week.
The proceeding was a paid program. The opinions expressed are not necessarily those of WNBU and Inner Banks Media.